Hey there, and welcome to another Kidlit chat. I'm your host, Brooke Vansickle, as always, and I have the wonderful Brenna Jeanneret here with me. Hey, Brenna, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you, Brooke? Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thanks so much for doing this. I'm so excited. But for those who are watching who maybe never have heard of you before, tell us a little bit about who you are and why you wanted to become a children's book writer.
Okay, so as Brooke said, I'm Brenna Jeanneret. I wanted to become a children's book author. I guess like most of us, like when I had a kid. I have been a writer my whole life. I have journals from back when I was like 8 years old. I've always written. I've done a lot of like outdoor blogging stuff because my husband and I are rock climbers. I did like a mom's blog for outdoor like recreational people when I first got into this. I wrote for all kinds of online magazines. And then when I had a kid, I was like, you know what would be really fun? Writing a children's book. So, like lots of people, that's what got this whole thing started. And I finally took it seriously during the pandemic, another thing that is like a constant with most people. And I started writing children's books and I got really, really into it and just thought like, this is so fun and so creative and like such a fun outlet. And I mean, I love to share and like generate ideas with my kid. Like he's so creative and so smart and just like, a ridiculous little boy that he comes up with all of these amazing ideas all day long. Um,
Yeah.
so it's been really fun.
I love it. Is that like the perfect age to collaborate with? That sounds
Yes, and I don't know if you guys heard him. He wants to write a choose your own adventure together. We've done that in the
Oh.
past. It's really fun. So he will dictate to me and then draw the pictures and I will write it out. So
That is
that's what we're going to
so
be
fun.
doing when the podcast
So
ends or
fun.
when the chat ends.
Yeah. Well, you actually have your first book getting ready to come out. So it comes out May 1st.
Yes.
And it's called The Law of Birthdays, which I think is such a fun title. But tell us a little bit about it, what inspired it, and what it's about.
Yeah, so the Law of Birthdays, this I'm so glad that this is the first book of mine that came out because it means a lot to me, not like in an emotional way, but sort of in like a like an advocate sort of way. It came to me out of anger, I suppose. I was really upset about the fact that not everybody in the world, in our community, in our country has a choice. And so, I didn't feel like there was a lot for me to do with that. Like I couldn't really make a real change, um, in my own personal life. And I just was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to try to channel it into a story for kids. And if I can make it kid friendly and like sort of distill this really big topic and start sort of at the bottom, and like let kids know that they do have a choice and they can advocate for themselves and body autonomy is so important and like all of that, it's sort of like if you start really young, then these kids will grow up, advocating for themselves and knowing they have a choice and speaking up for themselves. And I just felt like that was really, really important. Um, and my son and I are actually vegan. And so that is kind of where the cake part came in because cake, is super kid friendly. Everybody has a birthday. So I figured that was very relatable. And, not everybody always wants cake. So besides being vegan, I don't really have a sweet tooth. That is not true for my son. He is a vegan with a big sweet tooth. So that is not a problem. But I prefer like, French fries and potato chips and stuff like that. So anyways, that's kind of where that came from that I just felt like it was, it's important to have a choice. Like people don't always want the thing that you think that they want. And the law of birthdays came from the king because the king is kind of a dum-dum and he doesn't really understand, that like it's okay to not have the thing that you think that people should have. So that was the
Yeah.
inspiration.
Cool concept. I love that. That's so fun.
Yeah.
So, most of our people that are watching this are actually aspiring writers. They want to get published just like you did. So, tell us a little bit about your publishing journey because you published with Cardinal Rule Press, correct?
Mhm. Yes, correct.
And which is a traditional publisher. So, what did your journey look like to get to this point?
Yeah, so I'd written, several manuscripts before this one, that had gone out on submission, and I got back, some feedback, some crickets, just a lot of, silence. This one, so Cardinal Rule Press, because they're sort of small and they have a small, they only publish 4 to 6 titles every year, right? So they are very, very fast, which is amazing. So I got the call that we were gonna have it, that the book was being bought in, let's see, the very beginning of 2023. So February 2023. And it was going to be, published, this year. So that's super fast in publishing. So like a year and a half. So that was amazing because, you work really, really hard to get an agent and then go on a submission, and just there's rejections at every stage of the game. And then
Yeah.
when you actually get a deal, right, things get pushed back or deadlines get moved or imprints closed down or whatever. I have friends who have a debut picture book who signed way before me, and their picture book still doesn't come out for like several years. So
2025, 2026, pretty standard.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, totally. So it's kind of amazing, and just like it's awesome for me to have a book actually in the world in such a quick manner,
Yeah.
just to sort of be able to be a part of that community and like be like put my stamp on it is just really meaningful. And I'm so glad that it happened the way that it did with this important book and with Cardinal Rule, who is such an advocate for their books, and they're so great with like helping with marketing and getting the word out, and just they've been amazing and super responsive. And just having my book out in the world means a lot, especially in the midst of like just so many no's. It's nice to have this like bright spot. So
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, 100%. So did you use an agent to get your contract, or did you submit to them yourself?
no, I was agented at the time, and that is how I sold the book. So we sold that book together. We have since parted ways. It was an amicable an amicable parting of ways. It just wasn't, the right fit. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so that's how that
Yeah.
came about.
Which that's also a story probably in and of itself, because so many people try to get an agent and then, you think, well, this is it. I got it. I did it. But it doesn't
Totally.
work out. I have lots of friends who, lost agents either because they retired or because the relationship didn't work or because, whatever. And then you have to sort of start all over. But
Totally. And I think it's not always, it doesn't, you hear lots of stories about like, oh, like this agent was bad at their job, or they
yeah,
did so and so or whatever. That was
yeah,
not the case for me. Like my agent is great at what he does. He is a great human being. He's such a sweet guy. It just, the partnership wasn't, like
yeah,
it just didn't seem to click. Like so anyways, I have nothing bad to say about that
yeah,
experience or that partnership. But yeah, it just, we have moved on, and that's just how it
yeah,
goes sometimes. So, but
yeah,
it is, I mean, it's hard for anyone out there listening, if you have parted ways or you're thinking about parting ways, or it's hard, but if you feel like it's the right decision, that's just something that comes with the territory, it's part of the process. Your right partner is out there. So
exactly. Well, and it's business, so it's everyone works differently. You sometimes have to work sometimes together, and then you realize that. But yeah, it's not the end all be all just because you get a contract with an agent or because you get one publishing contract. There's still
totally.
it's a continuous cycle. I
And
like
it's, I mean, I'm playing the long game. So I'm here, I'm
that.
here for a while. So,
Um,
it just may not happen for a bit. Maybe it'll happen right away. I don't know. You never know.
yeah,
So
but you just stay consistent and persistent.
yeah.
I
Yep.
love it. I love it. Well, you have a book getting ready to come out, possibly when
Yes.
this comes out, already out. But how are you going to celebrate? Because it's a big deal.
Yeah, so like I said, I don't really have a sweet tooth. So I think what we might do is I might have something sweet for my son and my husband, who my husband also big sweet tooth. So they would be happy to have some cake. And I might have some French fries. Um, Also Cardinal Rule is doing an awesome like virtual launch, which is amazing. And I have partnered with Boulder Bookstore, which is my local independent bookstore here in
Yeah.
Colorado. So we have like a Q&A that's going up on their website, and hopefully I can do some author signings, because I will be signing books through that bookstore. That's the one to go to. So yeah, anyway, so we're really excited, maybe, and we might just stay here as a family and have a fire, and I might have some wine.
That sounds really wonderful. It sounds
Yeah,
like
it
the
sounds really
perfect way
nice.
to
You
celebrate.
can
I
come,
love
Brooke. I
it.
would love to have you.
Deal. I will just drive on over. It'll hopefully be warm.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. And then maybe the next one you should work on is a rock climbing book because
I have one. I have a rough draft happening. So you let me know if you're interested, if you know someone, you know some people.
Keep your ears out, because I think that that would be a good one. I know my husband's a
Yes.
big climber, and so are his friends. So
Yes, I have. Yeah, I've got
yeah.
one in the works. So if anyone's listening and they're
Yes,
interested,
if
reach
anyone
out.
wants a rock climbing book, let's just manifest it.
Yes, yes. I think it's a very important book to have in the world. There's lots to learn about perseverance and determination and failing and just all of the
Falling off
things.
that wall. And
Yes, and I've been climbing for a very long time, so I am very versed in all of that.
oh, I love it. I love it. Well, final question for anyone watching. What would be your number one, advice, piece of tip that you would have for them if they're like, in the trenches, or if they're working on their first draft? What would be your best advice for them?
Okay, so it's twofold because, and I know that people hear this all the time, but number one, showing up and perseverance is like not even just half. I'm gonna say it's like 95% of this business. Everything else is luck and circumstance and who you know, and you just have to keep showing up. You just have to
Mhm.
keep doing the thing. And two, if you get to a point where it's not fun anymore, then you got to reevaluate because it's not going to be enjoyable. If you slog through it and it's not fun and you don't feel like it's joyful, whatever you put on the page isn't going to be a good time either. It's not going to resonate with people. It's just going to be, and I know this from personal experience, like I've written a lot of garbage when I don't feel good, you know?
Yeah.
So, shut down social media, like tell people you're taking a break, like do whatever you got to do and find the story that's like that is like you're stoked on again. Like I recently went back to a rough draft that I, just couldn't figure out how to crack. Went back to it recently and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot how cool this idea is. Like, okay. And I like rewrote it and redrafted it. And I'm like, kind of psyched on it again. Like when I first started writing picture books, I feel like I would wake up every morning and I'd be like, oh my God, what thing do I get to work on today? And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Like I get to work in this like crazy world of like, X, Y, and Z. And
Yeah.
it'd been a while since I had felt that way. So reigniting that spark and like finding that thing has like helped me push on, even though like I'm not querying it yet. No editor has seen it. My critique partners maybe don't love it. It doesn't matter because I love it. I think it's
Yeah.
fun. I think it's like an amazing story to tell. So like I will keep chipping away at it until I feel like it's ready and then, maybe put it out into the world. We'll see. But, find that thing.
I think that's such great advice, because you have to have the why. Otherwise, because it gets hard. And if you don't have that,
Yes.
you're just going to
Yeah.
struggle, or you're going to give up.
Yeah.
And so many people give up on their stories way before they see them.
It's true. I mean, it gets so hard, guys. Like it's not
Yeah.
easy. This is not easy. Like I have a book coming out, yeah, but that is not like
You had to
it
climb
wasn't
through
an
some
easy thing.
stuff to get there.
Yes, yes. Well done, Brooke. Way to bring it back around. Yeah. I just, it's a misnomer that people get books published and it's like an easy thing. It's not easy for anybody, It
Yeah.
doesn't get easier. It's hard. It will always
No.
be hard. And
Yeah.
you just have to get better at hard.
I would say they always say choose your hard. So if you
Yep.
want to be a writer, this is your hard. And
Yep.
it's
And
fun,
yep. You got
but
to
it's,
choose it every day. You just
yeah.
have to.
But I mean, heck, you're gonna make awesome stories for little kids that are just fun and creative and just joyful. So it's worth
Yes.
it.
Yeah. It's totally worth it. 100%.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for doing this and for sharing all of your wisdom. We can't wait to read your book. We'll have
Oh
break.
yeah, of course. Yeah, I can't wait for you to read it. I hope that you like it. And thanks for anyone who is listening. It was really nice to chat with all of you and I hope it was fun and helpful.